What's good with it, Black Goose TV family, man? Double salute as always. Your boy Fluence Boxing is back in the building once again with some more Fluence Boxing news. And family, I got some breaking news for y'all. I got some breaking news. We was talking about it last week, but now it's official. We just don't got a fight date yet, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a fight date, if not by the end of the year, early next year, beginning of January. Look, we got a banger. Vergil Ortiz versus Stanionis. It's a done deal. It's a done deal, y'all. I was a little skeptical, man. I didn't know if this was going to actually end up happening. As we know, this fight was ordered this fight was ordered in November 18th to take place. Mandatory Stanionis versus Ortiz. I didn't know if this was going to actually get done because, obviously we know Ortiz is a rising star in the 147 division. Stanionis is a rising prospect in the 147 division. Obviously, you guys can see I differentiated the two because even though Stanionis is a beast, even though Ortiz is a beast, if we're talking about star power, if we're talking about promotional backing, if we're talking about, people that want to actually see this particular fight, or I should specify fighter more so than the other. Vergil Ortiz is a rising prospect, but also a rising star. When it comes to Stanionis, he's just a rising prospect. But that's no disrespect between either one of them. That means they're both very, very good. It just one just so happens to have a little bit more eyes on them than the other as they're climbing up the ranks. But a fight like this gives someone like Stanionis the opportunity and the chance to put himself in the limelight and say, hey, guys, I should be talked about with all the other 147 guys that you're talking about. I wanted to fight with Earl. They didn't want to give it to me. I was calling out Bud Crawford at one point. You guys didn't remember. I wanted the Keith Thurman fight. I wanted to fight Jerron Boots Ennis. I've been wanting Vergil Ortiz, etc., etc. It's just a lot of people are not aware of who Stanionis is. Even me personally, I didn't even become on the map or on the radar of Stanionis maybe until about a couple years ago. But obviously, we all know who Vergil Ortiz is. We all know his upside. We all know what a lot of people expect from him. So this is a big fight. This is a very big fight. This is a high risk, low reward for Vergil Ortiz. This is a high risk, high reward for Stanionis. So I can't wait for this. I'm so happy that it's actually going to happen. It's looking like next year is going to be fire, man. Next year, it looks like we're going to have a lot of banger fights. If the fights that they're saying is going to happen end up actually going through. I've said this before. I remember like 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was doing the same thing, right? And I remember saying, man, the next year looks like it's about to be crazy. We're going to have all these fights happen that we never expected to happen. And none of them happened, man. A lot of them got pushed back, postponed, canceled. But obviously, that was coming off the back of COVID. So it was kind of like, the boxing world was kind of playing us a little bit because the MMA world, UFC specifically, they was putting on crazy fights that we never thought. So I felt like, boxing kind of to keep up, they would announce fights that we were hoping would happen, but they didn't have any intentions for it to actually happen because they were trying to keep us intrigued. Now, fast forward to now, I do believe that we don't have any reason to feel like this fight's not going to take place because obviously Stanionis is in a position right now where, hey, he's mandatory. It was ordered, purse bid. Here we are. Ortiz, Vergil, he don't really got nobody. He don't really got nobody that he can face that anyone be interested in. He can't continue to kind of like, take on easy fights for the most part. But at some point, put him in there with the dog and let's see if he's really a dog. You feel me? Because then that will get him closer to maybe some of the bigger name fights. Obviously, that's something that we've been hoping for Boots. Boots will be fighting on the Hector Luis Garcia, Gervonta Davis card, not necessarily against a no name, but at some point, Boots is going to have to put himself in the same position that Ortiz is sooner rather than later. But let's get into the specifics of this. As you guys can see, Golden Boy, they secured the bag. They won the bid. They will be putting on this particular fight, which I'm not necessarily surprised. Stanionis, who he's with, is a smaller promotional company. I think he is his actual promoter is backed somewhat by PBC, but it's not nothing that, obviously that PBC will probably throw a big bag at. I see Golden Boy Promotions obviously winning this, and I'm not surprised that they won it. One is for the WBA regular welterweight title, but then also too, Vergil Ortiz is their guy, so they're going to of course want to be able to have the ability to broadcast and promote this to its entirety and fullest, with Vergil Ortiz being a rising prospect, not only a rising prospect but a rising superstar under their banner. But with that being said, before I get into the nitty gritty, please tell me what you guys think about this fight. You guys excited about it? We do not have a date yet for it, to be determined, but I'm going to get into the details, just let you know a little bit. I'm not going to harp on this too long. I'm not going to be too long-winded. Just know I'm excited for this fight. This is a hell of a fight, and I'm so happy that we're almost this close for that joint to be happening. Obviously, fingers crossed, knock on wood. As long as nothing happens crazy, you know what I'm saying, in between now and when the fight actually ends up being announced as far as the date. So with that being said, let's get it. BoxingScene.com, Stanionis versus Ortiz, Golden Boy Promotions, $2 million plus secures rights to WBA regular welterweight title fight. Golden Boy Promotions has secured the rights to one of the most attractive welterweight fights currently in play. The order, Eimantas Stanionis versus Vergil Ortiz, WBA regular welterweight title fight, has landed in Golden Boy's possession after posting the $2 million plus during a purse bid hearing Monday afternoon. The bid outpaced TGB Promotions, who submitted an offer of $2.1 million. So $2.3 million ended up being the $2.1 million as a lone other participant during the session in which it took place, which I believe they are the promotional company overseeing Stanionis. Stanionis is entitled to 75%, which is $1.7 million of the bid as defendant title holder. The remaining 25%, $575K, will go to Ortiz as the mandatory challenger. Oh, that's interesting. So even though Golden Boy won the bid, because Stanionis is defending title holder, he's going to be getting paid more than the rising prospect in Ortiz. So some would say actually this is a higher reward for Vergil, but in reality, we all know how boxing goes. All of the boxing casuals, all the boxing fans, they are more aware of Vergil Ortiz and Stanionis. So there's actually a win for Stanionis. I'm not even going to lie to you. The fight was ordered November 18th and given a 30-day free negotiations period for a fight that is officially due to take place by January 16th, 2023. We have a date. I got to fix my title. January 16th, 2023. Stanionis was represented by promoter Richard Schaefer's Probellum, as well as manager Shelly Finkel and TGB Promotions on behalf of the Premier Boxing Champions. Ortiz fights for Golden Boy Promotions and is managed by Rick Marion. Both sides push for the WBA to enforce their specific status, though for separate fights. As previously reported, Ortiz petitioned the WBA in September to order a fight with Stanionis as that sanctioning body's mandatory challenger. Meanwhile, Stanionis pushed to get the WBA super champ Errol Spence. Obviously, that did not happen because they tried to make Spence versus Terrence Crawford. Stanionis was joined by unbeaten welterweight contender Boots, who sought to have his IBF mandatory status enforced to get a similar fight with Errol. That did not happen at all. We all know what ended up happening. Supposedly Terrence Crawford versus Earl happened. That fell through. Now Earl versus Keith Thurman is expected to happen next year sometime. We don't know if that's happening. Terrence Crawford just had his fight over the weekend. Got paid a big bag. We don't got to get into all that because we already know what is happening. So that is what is going for. Let me give you guys a time frame because I said January 16th because that was the expected date when initially it was announced. But let's see if they're going to hold on to that. A time frame was not revealed for Stanionis Ortiz, though doubtful that it takes place prior to the previously imposed January 16th deadline of 2023. It's more likely for the fight to land sometime in February. It's February on the zone, with whom Golden Boy has enjoyed separate output deals since the end of 2018. So I'll take back what I just said. We don't have a specific time. Previously, when it was ordered on November 18th, it was expected for the fight to be January 16th. Since it was no deal was struck and it got pushed all the way to a purse bid. Purse bid is done. Most likely it's going to happen in February. So we have an expected time to be maybe February 2023. What do you guys think about this fight? Are you guys excited for this? This is interesting because it seems like Vergil Ortiz has been pushing for the Stanionis fight the entire time, when Stanionis had his sights set on something a little bit bigger. Can you blame him? No, you can't. But that shows the balls on Ortiz, man. He's seen something that we don't. What do you guys think about this, man? Drop it below in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, show all that type of love because you know I'm going to show the love back. And of course, man, stay blessed, not stressed. On Schwarzenegger side of the game, I'll be back. But with more boxing. Much love to